Hellraiser follows Riley, who is a young woman struggling with addiction, who finds a mysterious and ancient puzzle box that, should you solve it, opens doors you may not want to open. And soon she's on a quest of sorts to retrieve someone that she loves, and she'll have to come in contact with the sadistic but beautiful Cenobites and contend with all their desires. Why was I interested in directing a new version of Hellraiser? I'm such a fan of the franchise. I think anybody who loves the Hellraiser movies and Hellraiser literature could say that this is a big, vast world to play in. There's so much that you can do with Hellraiser. So anything that keeps the conversation going, anything that opens the box and takes us back into the labyrinth, I think is, as a fan, a journey that I want to go on. As a filmmaker, it's a really unique challenge. Hellraiser is dense, it's complex, it's layered, it explores many themes of the interior and the exterior. It's absolutely terrifying and visceral, but it's also surreal. And so look, as a crafts person of film, it's absolutely a joy to work on, and an honor to be a part of. So I'm just happy that I had the opportunity to do it. Clive was a creative producer on the film, so he was involved in all manner of process and in the development and the realization of this, and in the edit, post production, and he was very generous with his time. And being the inventor, the writer of Hellbound Heart, the director of the first film, producer of several Hellraiser films. He knows the world like no one else. It's uniquely his vision. And yet he was very supportive of the idea that this was a new group of artists and that they were going to respond to the material in their own way, and that it was ripe for some level of reinvention. We wanted to capture the spirit of the original movies, but also, be open to new ideas where they presented themselves. And so he fully embraced that. As an artist, he's very collaborative and wants to find common ground, shared obsessions, as he says. He would call me a lot in prep, and we would talk through passages of the old book. We would talk about elements of the script that worked, areas that could use more fleshing out. He always met me with this story. His advice was always to tell the story that was before us, and not to try to emulate what he had done before. And as a producer, he can be challenging at times, and he knows when to push us. And so I'm really grateful of the time and collaboration that I got to spend with him. And he's a joy to work with. Every conversation with him is a marvel. My biggest challenges in making this film, on one hand, we had to find, how to, pay the proper homage to the movies that had come before us, and but also open this up for new audiences. A lot of that meant getting lost in our own obsessions that were Hellraiser related, and following all the things that we thought were amazing about Hellraiser. I'll also say Hellraiser is quite a logistical feat in horror filmmaking. I joke it could have been a person in a mask with a knife, but it's not. They're interdimensional BDSM demons that come at you from an endless labyrinth and shoot chains at you. I mean, it's the gags are insanely complicated and require a lot of planning. And Hellraiser's always been known for its practical effects, so you got to do it for real, and that's very much the spirit of the franchise. So I think I speak for all of the crafts people in the film that it's just a challenge to take on. And then I think for the actors, it's an enormous leap of faith. And I think it's you're always out on a limb when you're doing horror, because you're dealing with very intense ideas. You're dealing with a lot of imagination. Sometimes it can seem quite absurd when you're on set what you're working with. But for the performances to run with what we were doing, and to do it with sheer abandon, is what the movie needed. And it's a big testament to Jamie's performance as the priest. It takes a lot of courage to put on that suit and to lead the other Cenobites and to do it with confidence and grace. And I think she was an example to all of us on set. And when the priest comes on set, you can hear a hush fall over the crew. You know, it's like her Majesty is present, and you better offer her, you know, the proper respect, or things could go horribly wrong. So yeah, Hellraiser's challenging, but it's incredibly rewarding franchise. I can't think of anything else like it.